Hello everyone, Josh, Diesel Tech JB on YouTube. I am going to be filming a series of putting a 5.3 into a 95 Maxum boat that my wife and I bought. It has a 305 in it that was frozen and cracked, so obviously it's making vanilla milkshake in the oil pan, and that's no good. And I have a 5.3 sitting around that I can put in it. Now, this is going to be kind of an unusual thing at first for me, because normally I don't talk in my videos. I just film what I'm doing, and that's film, entertain everybody. But I couldn't figure out a way to go through this and show everybody the issues that you can run into putting an LS in a small block Chevy boat. I couldn't figure out how to do it without talking, and it's not something that I particularly enjoy doing, but I'm sure by the end of this series I'll be totally fine with it. That being said, this should be a multiple part series showing all of the things that I feel like aren't documented when I go on YouTube and watch videos of people putting LSs in boats. I feel like a lot of the time when I watch it, it's, oh, here's the LS and here's me putting some parts on it, and then next thing you know, it's, hey, here we are out on the water and the LS is running perfect and blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, but how did you get there? I have questions, and there may be videos like that out there, and the YouTube algorithm just doesn't like them. I don't know. We'll see if it hates mine, but I'm going to film it just so that I can say that I at least made an effort. But yeah, this is going to be all of the issues, wiring, making the boat, the Maxum boat, and the LS play nice together. It's going to be any kind of fabrication, any kind of custom bracketry. I know I'm going to need to figure out fuse panels, fuel pump relays, stuff like that. I know that the shift cables are probably going to be an issue as far as like mounting the brackets, because you're going from a Mercruiser to a Crusader setup as far as the manifolds go. And there's going to be a multitude of things. The cooling system, closed cooling, open cooling, how to even route the hoses. Like, these are all things that are going to have to be documented, or if not documented, I still got to figure it out, so I might as well have a camera on while I do it. And that's the kind of the point of this. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and I'll start by showing you some of the things that I have ordered for the LS and had come in already, and we'll go from there. So I know the lighting on this is absolutely terrible, and we'll just have to get through it for now. But as you can see here, the first thing I've got is we got a flywheel so that we can adapt it to the Mercruiser drive. And then if you look over there in that box, you'll see that there is a set of small block Chevy to LS motor mount adapters. Now, that flywheel, just ordered a standard flywheel for a pickup truck with a 4.8 or a 6.0 in it, and it looks like the offset and everything's going to be right. All the bolt pattern lines up and everything. And then that mount will accept the Mercruiser boat mounts to the LS engine. Now, as I've taken the accessories off of this engine, like the AC brackets and things like that, I've saved all the bolts here. And as you can see, I have recycled some of them to be bell housing bolts. I couldn't find bolts to fit for the back of the crankshaft. Those I will have to get, as well as the flywheel to Mercruiser drive hub or flange, whatever you'd like to call it. I'll have to get bolts for that as well. Here is one of the motor mounts bolted to the engine, just kind of hanging there. Everything's loose, just so I could get an idea of where everything's going to end up living. So one of the first things I figured out is I'm going to have to get an EGR block off plate, because the EGR tube assembly here, the bracket bolts to the cylinder head, that goes to the exhaust manifold, that goes to the intake manifold. Obviously we're not going to run EGR on an LS in a boat, so I need to get block off plate for one of those. Another thing I noticed, the purge solenoid, that's probably going to have to be blocked off. I don't know yet. We'll see how that goes. Now, I wasn't initially going to show this on the video when I was filming everything because I just didn't really feel that it was necessary for what I'm doing. But everybody loves seeing destruction, so I can't really blame them. So here's a little bit of destruction. Here's the extremely milkshaked 305. Now, when I bought this boat, they had told me, they said, oh yeah, it's putting some water in the oil. They didn't really lead on to how much water it was putting in the oil. When I fired this thing up just to hear it run, it had so much water in it that it pushed it out of the valve covers. It was just spraying out of the valve covers. So I shut it off because it was making a mess out of everything. And I pulled the dipstick out, and it was to the top of the dipstick tube is how much water was in this engine. So here's one side. You can see it already broke once, and they repaired it with some sort of silicone. I don't even think that's JB Weld. That's like just gray RTV. And there's another crack down there. And I'm gonna try and fit over here. There's the crack on the other side. And the oil is the consistency of putty. It's like pudding. It's not even just, you know, your normal milkshake oil. Like, this is putty. So that's not good. So the LS engine that I was just showing you, the reason that I don't have the crank bolts or the bell housing bolts or things like that is because I bought a Suburban wrecked at an auction a couple of years ago now, and I took it apart, took some parts off for my wife's Suburban and saved what I knew would be good spares, and then parted out some of the rest of it, and then I sent it off to the junkyard because I don't need any more yard ornaments than I already have. So along with that went a lot of the bolts and everything that I had just thrown in the back of it, being that the bell housing, etc. But that engine ran good. I drove the truck around when I brought it back from the auction. No smoke, no ticks, no knocks, nothing it shouldn't be doing. So I held on to it with the intention of it being a spare for my wife's Suburban, and then she found this boat on Marketplace and it had a crack block, and I really didn't want to put together another 350 because I'm kind of just tired of carbureted boats. I've had a couple now, and I already know somebody's grandpa's going to jump in here and be like, well, if you knew how to tune a quadrajet, it'd just run perfect and start right up every... I don't need to deal with it. I want something that you can just hit the key, wait a couple seconds, let the fuel pump prime, fire it up, and it's going to figure itself out, and it's going to do what it's supposed to, and we can just go all day and not worry. I don't need the aggravation anymore. I've got enough other things to deal with. So the whole real purpose of putting the LS in is really for fuel injection. I could put a 350 in it and buy a Holly Sniper setup with the throttle body injection, but I have a 5.3 sitting here. I saved the harness and everything and the PCM because, again, I figured it was a good spare for my wife's truck. So everything's there that I need to do the swap, other than the specific marine portion of it, which is a flywheel, which I got that, the way that I found that flywheel part number was I had watched a video from, I think the guy, it's Complete Toilet Garage. He put a LS in a square body 1 ton, and he showed the part number of the flywheel. It's an AutoZone part number, and so that I used that part number, ordered it. Looks like it's going to fit perfectly. So that's where I got that from. The engine mounts, again, just watching YouTube videos, and went on Amazon and just picked a set out because they all seem to be about the same price. The only thing I haven't ordered yet that I still need to is the manifolds, the Crusader 6.0 LS manifolds. They are very expensive, so I'm gonna have to kind of work my way there because nobody's sponsoring my piles of crap. So that's still got to get ordered yet. The engine needs to be finished being disassembled more, I need to take the wiring harness off of it, split it apart, get it down to the portions that it only needs to run the LS. Then I need to graft the Mercruiser harness into the LS harness so that the boat plays nice with the LS PCM, and that'll be a whole nother video on its own. And I'm sure there's other things I'm going to run across, but that's going to be the kind of the whole purpose of this series, is just so that all the issues that you run into that nobody seems to really talk about in their videos. I know Rich over at DeBoss, he's putting an LS in which my boat's a Maxum boat, his boat's a Maxum boat. His boat had a cracked 305, mine has a cracked 305. He put a small block in his just to run it for the summer, and that guy's got 500 different projects, so I'm not surprised if the thing's pushed in a corner somewhere collecting dust until he gets around to it. I want to have mine out for the summer. I didn't do this because I saw Rich's videos. It's just, that's what we happen to come across on Marketplace. That's just the way it worked out. So I'm by no means playing in his sandbox. And he's got sponsors that just throw parts at him. Whereas I'm going to have to be doing everything piecemeal, little here, little there. But that's where we're at. And as I progress further in this, I will put videos out documenting all of it. So we'll see you in the next video. Now, as I was editing this, I came across another thing that I felt like was kind of important that I should mention. You've seen in the video with me talking that I'm in just a carport with a dirt floor. And now I'm in a building here. This is just a 10 by 10 shed where I keep my toolbox. I used to be a diesel tech out in the field. I don't do it in the field anymore. Now I'm like a tech support for other diesel techs, but that's not the point. The point is that I wanted to also show everybody when I do this that you don't have to have like a top of the line shop and all the goodies and stuff like that. I'm working in a dirt floor in a couple $100 Harbor Freight carport. Like, anybody can do this.